Hello, and welcome to Spectral Searches. Our last investigation was of the Mississauga Trail, also known as Ghost Road. To further analyze and document our findings, we conclude with a post-investigation discussion. This discussion will be with Sarah and Jess from our investigation.
Wait. Oh, there we go. I had to hit it again.
Oh, maybe
I thought it had just started on its own.
Yeah, maybe that's what it
It's
was.
my fault. I apologize. I'm used to Teams.
Okay, well, before I share the screen or anything, I was just going to say, I think there's probably like 7 things that we can kind of go through that are like points of discussion a little bit. I think that we can kind of all agree that we did not get any substantially big evidence to prove the existence of ghosts on our investigation.
I mean, we didn't see any physical apparitions, but we felt some energies and we saw some we saw some readings and stuff like that. But I mean, aside from if evidence to you means we see a ghost, then we did not see a ghost.
Or have something that's like irrefutable. We had no irrefutable evidence.
That is a big word. That is a big word.
I think it was pretty well. I mean, there was no real cell towers around anywhere. Like the EMF was pretty crazy.
It was pretty crazy, and that is the second point that we're going to talk about. I have this kind of organized in the order of events that we did. So EMF, we kind of did it through the entire night. So I'm going to talk about that second because the second thing we started with. But I will share my screen. Haha.
I don't see it yet. There.
Yeah, everything's pretty delayed on here, eh?
Yeah.
I guess maybe Teams isn't so bad after all.
Screen sharing slow on Teams too, I find though.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so the first thing that I was going to bring up, and this wasn't even during our investigation, it was just when me and Sarah went ourselves. So the two things are cell phone coverage, right? So when we went, both of us lost our cell phone coverage at the same time, right when we like went to leave. And according to both Rogers and according to Bell, you know, the Skugog area is right here in the middle. Can you see my mouse actually?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, Skugog. We should have, you know, 5G. And same here. Skugog area, we should be good, and we weren't good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like cell phone providers and stuff have issues all the time, and it was like momentary. I don't think that's like anything to be like, oh my goodness, but it was interesting.
It's creepy. Like it's kind of alarming when you're going ghost hunting and then all of a sudden no one has any self-service.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit, you know, I mean, to the believers out there, I feel like that would be something that would, you know, make them feel... Yeah, exactly.
Especially when we didn't know like really where we were for getting back to. You're kind of like, oh, how do we get home?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that was kind of the first thing. It was just kind of our own thing. When we were there, we had no issues ourselves. We had perception because we tried to get Eric possessed, and he responded that he was fine.
Well,
unfortunately.
I mean, sounds like something a possessed person would say.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Like that's some of the demons would be like, I'm okay.
My skin suit's fine.
This is Eric. I'm okay. But
exactly.
Okay. So moving on to our second thing then. I set up as a video. I haven't done this before. Okay, baseline EMF here. Going pretty fucking crazy actually.
That's freaky.
And then it's probably the car.
Oh. Okay.
What?
Are you still with us?
It's still going off a little bit.
I'm just trying to turn it a bit to see.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk? Let's talk to us. Do you want us to go in and use the Ouija board and you'll talk to us?
Is it really nuts?
That's spooky.
So yeah, I think that the EMF is probably our strongest evidence of there being anything out there.
Agreed.
It does bring up a couple questions though. So
Hmm.
one of them was when I first started like putting this all together, a lot of the evidence that other people talked about were like uh communicating with ghost orbs and native ghosts, the car shaking when you park it, like moving back and forth, all those sort of things, right? Which would all be kind of like indications of like an intelligent haunting, like a ghost that's communicating back with you. Whereas the fact that we were just getting like random hits, if it was like a ghosty kind of thing, or potentially, you know, we were talking about the biker like driving back and forth, that could be like a residual haunting. Kind of, you know, it's just like Bly Manor, if we're just doing the same thing over and over, it's not really smart anymore. So it kind of brings up like Sarah had a really good point that I had to crop out of the video because she yawned right in the middle of it. But as Sarah was kind of saying, like, are we using the EMF to pick up just if there's something there, or are we using it as like a means of communicating? And because we're kind of approaching this almost with more of a intelligent haunting, trying to get it to shake the car, using the Ouija board, EVPs, it was kind of like we can't just take random readings as indications of something being there. But if we were looking at it as like a residual thing, then potentially the on and off again kind of readings could just be an energy there. And there is also the counter argument that maybe it's just a ghost that is intelligent, just not really talking through that device. It's always an option too. But I think it's hard to really decide on that.
Yeah, I feel like it was too inconsistent because at certain points it seemed like it was going off when we were trying to talk. Like when we said, "Do you want us to go in and use the Ouija board?" It went right, stuff like that. But then it did seem more like it was just kind of in certain areas it would come and go. So it makes more sense to me that maybe it would be that kind of like that ghost that's just like circling, or like the creepy Bly Manor ghost that just like every night circles and goes back kind of thing. So which is to me quite creepy. But
yes.
I don't know, Jess, what are your thoughts? Do you have any thoughts on that? Cat. The cat's just
Yeah.
you just put the cat into Ghost Road. Jeez.
Have fun, buddy.
I mean, I don't know. I thought like for the majority of it, it only seemed to really go off when we were talking to it. Like it was, and I like I get what you're saying when it comes to the cell towers and stuff like that, but still, it's quite an open area. And just with the energy feeling itself, and that it would, for the most part, it would seem to only go crazy when talking to it. But, and I mean, like the possibility of it, if it was residual, like maybe that was all the energy that it had to do that. And that's why it didn't come and talk to us at the Ouija board or stuff like that, right? And that's my favorite nephew right there.
Yeah, it's like just tail in my face. Like, so I did find this also, which I thought was just interesting because this is the guy that made the K2 EMF meter, and it was his response to the fact that people are using his device for ghost hunting. And I just thought it was hilarious because he was just like, "How does it detect ghosts? Like your guess is as good as mine." Like, and he's just kind of going through it. But yeah, it's interesting. He, I don't know if I included it, but he did do like his own ghost hunting as well with it, just to see. But the one thing he does mention is like, as we talked about it in our actual investigation ourselves, like it does pick up on in different planes. So, you know, we were rotating it and stuff like that to try to pick up stuff. But he also mentions how like it can just be stray signals from even like your own phone and stuff like that. So with the number of people around there at the same time, I mean, I don't know what the distance is that electromagnetic fields are detected from cell phones receiving signals and stuff like that. Um, again, it was definitely an interesting thing though, and it definitely seemed like there were occasions such as the Ouija board comments, or even at the end where we were kind of like playing tag and stuff, where it seemed like it was going off when it was getting closer to whoever was holding it. But I don't think it was because it wasn't consistently an intelligent response. Sometimes it was going off by itself, and sometimes it was lined up with dialogue. It makes it harder to really have a definitive answer on that, I think.
Yeah.
But I do think it is compelling, a fairly compelling evidence there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like it's kind of, you could kind of you kind of manipulate it however you want, really, because like my gut kind of thought went along with what Jess said originally of like, well, if it is a ghost trying to communicate with us, it could be that, you know, I mean, we've all seen the movie Ghost. It takes him a lot to like make things move. He has to like punch all his ghost energy out, right? So if you look at it that way, I know it seems a little silly, but could be just that, you know, it's doing everything it can, but it's in this other, you know, ghost realm or whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
So it could very well be that, but it could very well be nothing.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it is a good strengthening for people that believe in it that way, and it'd be refutable to people that don't. I don't think it was completely compelling, but I think it was pretty strong evidence. It is more than most ghost hunter people get, let's be honest.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I was shocked. I didn't, I didn't think, you never know, right? Like, oh, we might just get nothing because we did a ghost hunt at our apartment and we got nothing
Yeah,
from
unless you get like
anything.
right up to the fridge, you got nothing.
Yeah, yeah. So
So
that was interesting.
yeah, absolutely. And like Jess is saying, I remember seeing like not cell towers, but I saw like telephone like towers and power cables and stuff like that. But like I don't know enough about it to know if that's going to set something off, and it's hard to Google for that.
Yeah.
All right. I don't remember how long I left this screen on there. I was less organized than I thought I was.
Is this another person?
That's okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Unless that's them leaving.
No, because there's some behind us.
Oh yeah, that was their truck, right?
I look
okay. Yes. First off, you were the most terrifying thing we had all night. Like rewatching these videos, a number of times you're just staring straight. You're like, I'm like, oh.
She was in the zone.
It's like demons. I said Eric, not Jess. So for this one here, I think one of the biggest things is what Jess said herself in the video and in the moment where she said that's a bust because nothing happened with the Ouija board.
Oh
yeah, nothing was moving around or anything.
We really gave it a chance too. We waited. We like slowed our breathing and just tried to focus. And yeah,
I think the other interesting thing, this is a really good video that I found really interesting that I found before, and it was an experiment where they grabbed a group of people with the Ouija board and everyone could spell everything, right? No problems, just giving yes and no answers. And then I'm not going to play this video, obviously this is a screenshot, but when they blindfold them, all of a sudden none of them can say anything, and it's like nowhere near any letters. And it was kind of an evidence that the people are the ones choosing what's happening. The refute that you get from a lot of the comments and from other people is that in order for the Ouija board to work, the ghosts have to possess you to use your eyes. And that's how they control it, or demons, either one. The one thing that I noted in our video is that Jess's eyes are always closed. So if the ghost had to use your eyes, Jess, you just cut them right off at the source.
Hey.
So maybe that's why you're not possessed.
I think I closed mine for a moment too.
Yeah, you both did, but you both also had times when both your eyes were open too. So it was just something kind of interesting, kind of, yeah, it's always an interesting refute you see when people are like, well, obviously it's because the ghosts are using your eyes.
Yeah, my brain went right there because there's always going to be a reason, right?
Yeah.
But I do think that often it's like with Ouija boards, where a lot of people are really hesitant to use them. I always was. I think you've kind of helped me not be afraid as much to use them, Josh, but I don't know that I've ever really had any actual experiences with them that were actual paranormal experiences. It's creepy opening yourself up to that, the potential of that. But I do think that there's a level of like your mind, you're sitting in that zone for so long. Like I felt myself not wanting to move it, but I felt my hands starting to kind of try to go. But I was like, this is me doing this though. Like I knew.
Yeah. Yeah, I think all the minute movements that people do and then wanting to find answers for things. And then I know like from reading different books, like so many people have been caught just faking it, like in various ways, that I think that I mean, ultimately, I know we all know that I don't think it's doing anything, but I think it's worth giving the experience and the experimentation to see if you get something out of it.
And if there was a strong enough, if spirits are real and there's a strong enough spirit, especially a strong malevolent spirit, I'm sure it can make that Ouija board go. I just don't know that it's common to have them around.
Yeah.
The next thing here is our car moving.
I think we could definitively say that the car has not moved, but we'll have to check the footage later.
The car didn't move. That's a really easy one. Nothing happened.
You can see the chalk line, yeah.
Yeah, you can see like the back one. It didn't move.
It was busy moving everyone else's cars that were there.
Oh, we'll get to that. Don't worry. So this, I think, is our second most compelling evidence, which I should have approached differently. I should have used a thermal camera afterwards, but we were pretty cold at that point.
Yeah, I was gonna say we were freezing. Should have borrowed your mom's heated vest.
I should have dressed for winter.
That too.
Okay, so the world record for the fastest temperature has dropped was the Fairfield, Montana, saw a drop of 84 degrees in Fahrenheit, which is 46.6 degrees Celsius in 12 hours. So that's equal to 3.883 degrees Celsius in 1 hour, or 0.6 degrees Celsius per minute. In our video, it dropped from 7.9 degrees Celsius to 6.5 degrees Celsius in less than a minute. So it dropped 1.4 degrees in less than a minute, which is substantially faster than the recorded record.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Though I will say, I mean, I have no idea if that laser is lined up. You can see that I'm shivering the whole time in the video. I don't know how accurate that thing is, but that's why it would have been good, because I'm like, can you cool this thing off? And it's like, oh, the temperature's going down. Should have got that thermal camera out. Would have made a lot of sense. But at that point, it was kind of like, okay, I want to get back in the car.
Yeah, I almost wonder if it would be worth it to go back to Ghost Road a few times to just do that test.
Yeah. I know a lot of people seem to go multiple times when you look at the history of like what different paranormal investigators say. There'll be like 5 different trips, kind of. Yeah. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting, at least it's, it's something.
Yeah, I would say it's something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to go in like different seasons, because that was a pretty cold day, but I still don't think temperature drops that quickly in a minute,
Yeah.
So it was interesting. And it was like as you were approaching the rock, right?
Yeah. So Sarah was taking photos for us, and Jess brought up a good point. Actually, you both brought up a good point, because Sarah's flash wasn't working anymore. So
I had it off on purpose, I think.
I thought your camera died too much.
No, I don't know. Probably. You're probably right.
So the main thing is, if you look through all these photos we got here, I had to really up the brightness and contrast to see anything, and you still don't see anything. I mean, I think there's way too much of just the camera trying to pick things up. I mean, this looks like a spooky little face with 2 eyes, nose, and a mouth, but I think that's just the human mind trying to find faces.
See lots of little dots.
Yeah, this one I thought was kind of interesting. I just had fun with this one. So I took one of the other photos we had when we first got there. It's a little bit hard to see, but I lined up the skyline here. So you see the street sign there. Sarah's right here. And there's actually like, here's our rock for Ghost Road. And if you think about like, we took the picture on this angle. I think the second time I took it on this angle, just a little bit off to the side. So I can still line this up. But we had this big blob here. And I think there's a tree that's right here. It's kind of hard to see, but it lines up with that. Then there's a fence post right here. There's the rock right here. Well, we do have all these other like random light spots. So I think this is the rock. This little corner here lines up with a little corner of the rock. But I think like all these little bits that are kind of brighter, I don't know what those are. Probably just various bright spots on the rock and the grass reflecting off. It was raining at the same time too, right? I think.
Yeah.
It wasn't raining that much though.
No, but there's enough dew and like light reflecting off the cameras and all that, you know, like because we were walking around at the same time. I don't think they're orbs. This is kind of rectangular, not really orb shaped.
It's like a full
one
ghost.
looks like a face.
What?
Looks like a face.
It's a full ghost.
This looks like a face right here.
No, not that one. The up.
This.
Yeah, that whole thing looks like a face. Look at it.
I don't see a face in that at all.
Jess, you'll have to take the picture and draw it for us.
Yeah, you'll have to draw over for us. This right here, this kind of nub thing lines up.
Yeah, it looks like a nose.
Is it just like a little nose?
Look, nose, and then or like nose, mouth.
Where's the mouth? This the mouth?
Like this, yeah. Looks like a face.
Kind of looks like a Who from Whoville. Is this the eye?
No.
Oh, see, if this is the eye and this is the nose, and like it's got like one of those noses.
No, the nose. I want to be able to point it out to you now.
Can't you take control? That might complicate the video. I don't know.
think you can take control of me screen sharing. You can share the screen yourself, but then you wouldn't see the video. But yeah, I always have fun just overlaying photos and stuff like that.
I see.
That's interesting.
But it does bring up some other questions that we had. So you didn't use your flash, and it's interesting because some of the websites kind of specify that orbs are light producing. So they'll have their own light emitting, in which case you should be able to see them, you know, with the human eye or with the camera, right? I know that a lot of places are like, oh, like you need to use it on the camera because the camera can pick it up or whatever, and the human eye can't. I'm pretty sure unless you have like special cameras, our cell phone camera is going to see everything that we see. It's not an infrared camera or ultraviolet or anything like that. It's not UV. So I imagine that if a true orb is one that's, you know, giving off its own light, then we had orbs floating around, we probably should have seen some.
We should. Right.
But that being said, I think there's another picture in here. Oh, it was this one here. A History of Ghosts, which was a very interesting book. I was not a fan of how it was read personally, but the book was interesting, by Peter Aykroyd, who is Dan Aykroyd's dad from Ghostbusters. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, he specifies in it that talking about ectoplasm and different seances back in the day, and they were saying that they had to be done in dimly lit rooms because ectoplasm can't form.
Oh, can you still hear
light.
Josh? Okay.
So some of the sources are kind of, yeah, Jess is just holding Gary still. Some of the sources are saying that orbs are in fact like bits of ectoplasm. So if ectoplasm can't form under light, then having the camera, your flash off would still be helpful. But it is also very limiting on how you're going to pick things up in pitch black if they're not giving off their own light.
Interesting. Yeah, I do recall now. I'm pretty sure I did intentionally take those pictures without flash, because that's what you had said was.
Yeah, because otherwise you're just going to pick up, you know, the dust and all that kind of stuff, which actually has a term. It is backscatter. Didn't know that.
Backscatter?
Backscatter. But yeah, it's the typical, you know, dust and bugs and whatnot. The one thing that I never really considered before is that it can be within the camera lens itself. So some people be like, that room wasn't dusty, but you can have little debris floating around inside the camera lens or shuffling around inside the camera lens. So, you know, it's we didn't really capture any orbs anyway. It kind of is one of those, did we not capture any orbs because we didn't have the camera flash on, and other investigators did capture them because they had the camera flash on, but they were actually just getting backscatter? Or is it that we didn't capture any orbs because there were none? Or are they not light producing? It's kind of up in the air with a lot of different people having different opinions on, you know, it's very, different sources give you different information. Looking in thought there, Jess. You're looking in thought.
No, I'm just trying to remember. Wasn't there was one thing that was pointed out, and I can't remember if there was the absence of bugs or that there were a lot of bugs.
Oh, there was a lot of bugs, and I was very confused by why the bugs are.
Yeah, because it was very it was almost too cold for them. There was quite a bit
flying around. So yeah, it was pretty weird. So I think that's really everything that's in the video is unstable. The other thing that I was going to bring up, which we both have brought up before. You guys both look so like so.
I'm laughing because you like froze, and then you're like, oh, the camera's on the table.
Frozen.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. The other thing that we both have brought up before is there's so many investigations happening at the same time.
Yes.
And in the Ouija board when we're doing it, and we're talking like, are you not answering because you're actually over there? And it brings up the question like, do ghosts exist in a singular location, or are they over multiple locations? And again, there's different answers depending on who you ask. So some
Horcrux ghosts.
Yeah,
ghosts
I would think
Horcruxes.
I think they'd be more singular. I wouldn't think they would like. It's like a haunting is usually like it could be all over the house, but it more or less would happen in one room at a time. So why wouldn't it be at another car and then it's using its energy to make its way over type of thing? Does that make sense?
Josh is having connection issues.
Oh no, I can't hear what Jess is saying now. I missed your entire point. All I heard was at another car, and then you came back just to sitting like this. So what were you saying there?
Don't edit this at all. I love this.
I probably won't edit this at all.
You'll have to rewind that one, Jess. I heard it. I don't know what my recording picked up though. So
yeah.
I was just saying, like, you have a haunted house. More or less, the hauntings happen one room at a time. So I would say the ghosts are more singular. So what evidence would you have that the ghost wouldn't be at, say, another car and then using its energy to make its way down and dispelling energy as it's making its way back, kind of thing?
Yeah, I'd probably agree with you in what I assume most people would think of with ghosts. The one counter argument that someone else had mentioned. We're running out of time. Look out.
10 minutes.
Yeah. So the counter argument that people specified that I think is complete just bullshit is the idea that our energy is dissipated
when you freeze on camera.
You froze again. So I could hear him. He was saying there's the theory that your energy like dissipates when you die. Is that what you were saying, Josh? And then I didn't hear you after that. You're
okay. It's back again.
You're back.
Yeah. Apparently us both being on here is too taxing. Essentially what I'm saying is that, people say like, you die, your energy can't just go nowhere. That's why you have a ghost, because there's energy left over. The counter argument to that is that our energy does go somewhere. We dissipate between the different things eating us, the loss of heat, molecules breaking down. That is what we break down. So the argument that I read online is that we don't necessarily exist in one singular place and we can be affecting multiple places is because our energy is dispersed across different things. And why, if our energy is dispersed, why couldn't that energy that is once us also disperse and still be functioning in multiple places?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
he's still talking, but he froze again. He said it doesn't make sense to him.
I think that I'm frozen, but you guys aren't.
Okay. Yeah, we're good. Okay. Jess, you were going to say something to that, I think.
Well, I was going to say, like, I partially agree, but I don't feel it's really our energy that gets scattered about. It's the physical that gets scattered about, but our energy does disperse. Like, we are literally we're a bottle full of energy, and when we die, it's got to go somewhere.
Well, yeah, but I mean, our energy is just stored in chemical bonds.
Right, but it's still like it's to die. It's a molecular reaction. So why wouldn't the reaction be to just, explode out of you?
Like literally,
I think we need a podcast where we like we could talk about just this molecular dispersion stuff for probably a good hour. Like just theorize. Yeah. I guess there's like the two theories, right? Like it's like Jess says, it's almost like your body breaks down, but then this ball of energy that you are just kind of still exists. Or there's the like, or does your energy, like the theory is, does your energy, I'm looking over here at Josh, but like, does your energy, Josh and I live together. Or does your energy just kind of go like all over the world kind of thing?
Yeah, like
right?
it's like
theories.
It's like we're pop bottles under pressure. It's got to go somewhere. So when we die, our containers are obviously like they're not able to hold as much anymore because we're dented. So goes the weasel.
It's an interesting take. I have not heard the pop bottle before.
Yeah, that's good.
But really, I think we're kind of reaching our time limit, and my internet keeps getting unstable, and we're lagging. So that's really all I wanted to do, was just kind of sit down and talk through the different things that we saw, and basically just come to the conclusion that the EMF was their most compelling argument. Temperature thing was cool. Ouija board did nothing.
Yep. In a nutshell, yeah.
I think we need Ouija board again, though.
Yeah, I'm always down to try again.
Yeah. I think it's always good too to like just take note, if there are believers out there that believe that, certain people have certain levels of the ability to be able to feel, the presence of spirits and things like that. So I think like, yes, we're trying to capture evidence, yes, but I think a really cool part of doing this ghost hunting thing is to talk about your experiences as well yourself. Josh looks so annoyed because he got frozen like this. But yeah, like I think it's really fun just to be like, you know what, there was a moment when we were doing that where I was by that fence and I felt like this heavy weight, and even that's just like that's more just kind of fun to talk about. So I don't know, Josh, if I'm going off completely off of your structure here, but I think it's also like, kind of cool to share that with people too, that like, I felt nothing, or I walked into this one area and I was like, whoa. So, like that was kind of cool too.
Yeah, when I walked ahead and I got to that one part, like where it was where the fence was, and it was like open with like some trees, and it was like, I don't feel good. Like I feel very heavy right at the spot.
And the EMF was going crazy over there too, briefly. So that was interesting.
And that's where those kids ran away screaming.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, that's the thing. It's always so interesting to look at it. It's like, you know what? It could just be I'm near some, whatever they are, cable wires or whatever. Maybe it's emitting some sort of energy that my body doesn't like, or maybe the trees are more open here, so I don't like the open air, or it's like there's an angry ghost that lives, chills over here at this fence. There's rooms at my work that have energy that I'm like, I'm not going in there. But anyway, I digress.
That's my whole job.
There you go. But yeah, that is all that I really had for our ghost hunting investigation, and I definitely think we should do some more later.
Yeah, it was fun.
Where are we going to next, Josh?
Oh, I have no idea. I haven't looked at anything.
Teaser. It's a place that might be haunted. We don't know yet. Trying to leave them with a
grand old time.
Yeah.
I guess we'll have to figure that one out.
Yeah, it's gonna take a bit to find something that's in a good area. So maybe something indoor.
Yeah, indoor for the winter.
Indoor? It's cold outside.
Yeah, it's too cold. All right. Well,
we did it.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, we did the thing.
Good discussion.
Guys. And see you soon.
Until next
time.
Yeah, till next time.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.